Well, there's some proof right there that the D.C. crackdown has begun. National Guard troops mobilizing in D.C. as we speak. More to come. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. Ahead of the meeting tomorrow between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian President Zelensky says he believes Putin is bluffing about wanting peace. Zelensky reportedly talked to Trump and other European leaders. Actually, he didn't reportedly do that. He actually did it. He said that he believes Putin just wants a full occupation of Ukraine. You think? Zelensky went on to say he hopes a ceasefire is a central topic of discussions between Trump and Putin. You think? Part two? For more, let's bring in retired Navy SEAL officer Mike Cirelli. Mike, thanks for being here. How do you see this? Look, my view is this. Putin wants the Donbas region, and they're controlling that right now. So the way I see it, I mean, if he gets more territory, he essentially wins, and then he takes a break for a certain amount of time. All right, ceasefire, end of war, whatever you want to call it. Then he reloads and looks to take all of Ukraine. I mean, this is not hard. Am I missing something here?
No, you're not, guys. This is a difficult situation. You know, I think the fear here is that, one, let's address Zelensky and Ukraine, the fact that they're not involved in these conversations. Now, this is great power politics. Those that have the ability and leverage to stop wars will be in the negotiations. This is a tough pill for him to swallow, and he feels sidelined with regards to the future of Ukraine. But I said it earlier on previous broadcasts. European wars have a way, small European wars, of bringing the U.S. into larger American wars. Yes. So, you know, it's not about honoring or rewarding Russian aggression. It's about starting a broader conflict. Now, as they approach this, one, the immediate goal is an immediate ceasefire. But they will get security guarantees for both sides to hopefully prevent Russian aggression westward after this. But the reality of it is, don't look at the world through rose-colored glasses. See the world as it is. And unfortunately, Russia may walk away with the Donsk or Donbas region.
Yeah, you say unfortunately. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is the deal, right? So basically, Putin's going to get rewarded. I know you say rose-colored glasses, but he is getting rewarded for going into Ukraine and taking territory that doesn't belong to him, even though he thinks it belongs to him, but it doesn't belong to him.
And this is where the dangerous precedent is set. So now can China take Taiwan? And we have to go into negotiations with China and reward them with Taiwan. So I understand that perspective. But again, you know, we've lost way too much life in this war. It's impacted the entire region. The fear is that this will spread to the entire European continent. I always hate the term "for the greater good." But this war needs to come to a conclusion. There needs to be cessations on both sides. There needs to be compromises on both sides to bring this to an end. And things like, Ukraine entering NATO, that will be off the table for the foreseeable future. Ukraine may be limited to a self-defense force rather than having a offensive capability, though we will arm them to defend themselves. So there's a lot on the table. There's many levers to pull in order to get to a ceasefire and then ultimately the end of the war.
So President Trump called you today. Would you advise him to have this meeting? Would you advise him to not have this meeting? Would you advise him to just pull back, not give Ukraine any more money? What exactly would you advise him to do?
I would advise him to absolutely have the meeting, and I'll tell you why. Because the cards are in Trump's favor. Putin is losing civil and political support for this war, even though they are still gaining ground in Ukraine. But their economy is in dire straits. So if there is no immediate ceasefire, you will see Trump start to put in more tariffs and more sanctions that will further cripple their economy. And if a president loses their economy, they lose the civilian populace support, and Putin will be in a very bad position.
So wouldn't installing those tariffs and sanctions you just mentioned in advance of tomorrow's meeting give President Trump even more leverage?
Yes, there's an approach where you could do that and it will give you more leverage, but it could also sour the relationship even further and close off Russia to being more open to negotiations on the points that bring this to a ceasefire and a close.
Okay.
I don't know, Mike. I mean, there's just so much to unpack. I just want to keep with the Ukraine-Russia story here because I guess, look, I don't want to say it. I'm just going to say it. There are a lot of folks that say that Putin is playing Trump here. And I think there's some truth to that. I really do. I think Putin has no desire to end this war, and he might look like he wants to, but I'm not sure he does. I know the economic aspects of this. I get it. You know, he's in trouble, you know, economically, and maybe these sanctions will make a difference, but he's got ulterior motives here. He really does. I'm just trying to, I don't know. And I guess the flip side of this is also, I'm kind of working all of this out here on live television, you know, but the flip side of this is that you can just say to Zelensky and Ukraine, sorry, you lost, and you're going to have to give up the Donbas region. You know what? War's ugly, and oh well. So maybe there's that aspect to it as well. And by the way, I can see Trump totally doing that and saying, you know what? They kicked your butt in Donbas region, and you're going to have to just give up some territory. Sorry about that.
Well, let me set the record straight here. The Ukrainian people have gone up against the large bear of the East and fought valiantly. We can never take that away from them, and they should be immensely proud. But regardless of what comes out of this meeting, Trump will have to go back to both Zelensky and the EU leaders to sell the deal. So again, this is one of many meetings to come in which Zelensky and potentially certain EU leaders will be involved in the negotiations, in the final agreements, and especially the security agreements that need to be put in place to bring this war to an end.
I mean, just shame on Zelensky, though. I mean, I can't stand Putin. He's a horrible, evil KGB communist. Let's never forget that. But at the same time,
he's a killer too.
Yes, but at the same time, Zelensky has taken a lot of money from the U.S. government and others. It's disappeared while his people have died fighting a war that seems like a losing battle. I think Zelensky is in some ways just as evil and just as manipulative. Let's not forget him showing up at the White House in basically his camo gear and disrespecting our president and thinking the whole thing is cute and funny. While the guy is he's weird. And I don't trust him any more than I trust Putin. And at a certain point, I realized the only two who really benefit from this, not their people, certainly not the Russian people, many of whom become the best patriots America has ever known when they immigrate here, certainly not the Ukrainian people. The two that benefit from this are Putin and Zelensky. And looking in from the outside, not having all the information, trusting Trump and his instincts, I still have to say it looks like they have the upper hand here. And this is really upsetting because the only way I see this ending is either a temporary ceasefire that then gets much worse or a whole entire escalation, which serves both of those two.
You know, I always go back to the phrase, and we teach our kids how the world should be. And then as adults, we come to recognize that the world is just different and it doesn't work by moral or character-based rules. But the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And we've known Putin and have negotiated and had long relations with Putin. And Zelensky, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to see what his final net worth ends up at after this war. He has made quite a bit of money off this war. There's been a lot of corruption within Ukraine and the use of our armaments and the aid that we've given them, as well as the EU. So you're absolutely correct. You know, you're dealing with two, let's say, less than character-based individuals, and that is a hard pill to swallow for Americans.
I have a lot more to say about that, but Mike, appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mike.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, a new weight loss pill could be coming out. How effective will it be versus shots like Ozempic and Wegovy? We have the answers. Back in a moment.